Izzy, and this is Dizzy Quilts and Sews. In today's episode or today's video, I thought I would give you a tour of my little sewing room, as well as show you how I've organized and stored pictures of all of my patterns and fabrics onto an app called Stash Hub. It's a brand new app, so I thought I'd share how I'm using it in case you're interested in using it as well. All right, so I thought I'd take you on a brief tour of what my sewing room looks like now. Now, I'm in a basement. There are actually no windows in this room, and I share my room with the laundry department, hence the clotheslines and the hangers. But yeah, it's my own little corner and I love it. So at the bottom of the stairs is a dresser where I store some stationery in the top drawers. My batting and interfacing is in here, as well as all of my woven fabrics. Up here, I've got some Big Four patterns. Those are all the patterns I own from Big Four. I'm not a big fan of Big Four. And here are all of my indie patterns that I've printed. So they're in like file folders. I put them in alphabetical order by pattern name. Then I've got some, pens, markers, tapes, pins, that kind of thing. And this cross stitch was actually made probably 40 years ago by my grandmother, who is still alive. She's 95 now, I think. And she gave this to me a couple of years ago. So it's in my sewing room where I get to see it almost every day, and I love it. So yeah, so my woven fabrics, batting, interfacing, that kind of thing are in this dresser. Then over here is my computer desk and printer. I've got a full-length mirror. And here's my tripod. My machines all sit on this desk. So I've got 3 of them. My Juki in the back over here is in a bit of a timeout at the moment because the tension is refusing to cooperate. And actually, I think she's due for some cleaning up, so some TLC. So I'm going to take her in to get cleaned, and yeah, maybe the tension discs or something need to be looked at. And then I've got all of my thread. This is where I cut all the fabrics. And you can see the pile over here is my Chilton trench coat pieces that I'm working on at the moment. Down here are little drawers for quilting fabrics in these 2. And then those 2 hold all of my knit fabrics that are all in basically rolls, so there aren't too many creases in them. That's my I don't know where to put it corner. So I've got some gift wrapping, some boxes that I don't want to get rid of, that kind of thing. And then my scraps are in this. That little shelving thing is a mess. Like, it's a giant mess. I need to clean that up somehow. Over here is a cedar chest that I inherited from my mother-in-law, and it holds all of my most precious quilts. On top of it are bolts of quilting cotton that I use as backgrounds, and the bottom 2 I will use as backings for fabrics, for quilts. And then over here is my pressing station, which really badly needs to be recovered. And I've got some drawers here for my pressing knickknacks, so my tailor's ham, my bias binding maker thingies. I also store in here my extra needles, extra rotary blades, some wires for my electronics, that kind of thing. And yeah, and you can see the washer and dryer over here. So that's basically where I spend all of my sewing time. And yeah, as part of this tour, I'm also going to share how, because I spent a lot of time about a week ago organizing and putting away all of my fabrics in these things and organizing my wovens into that dresser. And while I was doing that, I was also taking pictures and putting everything into the new app called Stash Hub. So I will show you what I've done and how I organized my patterns and fabrics onto the app. All right, so and I'm showing you the Stash Hub app on my iPad. It has been optimized for the iPhone, and I am planning on using it on my iPhone as well. But while I was putting everything in, it was just easier to do this on my iPad. I could maximize and then turn the orientation so that it fills up my iPad screen, but I think it's easier to see it this way just because I can see more fabrics at a time. Okay, so this is the home screen. Before I jump right in though, maybe just a word or two about what is Stash Hub and who created it. So Stash Hub is basically a fabric pattern and project organization tool. It's a sewing organization tool, basically, which is amazing. It was created by Yvette from the Blossom Sandwich and her husband, Doug. The app is in beta testing, I believe, right now. So it's not officially launched, but there is a Facebook group of users, and Yvette and Doug are taking in all of our feedback, and they're extremely responsive, and it's a really nice app. So if you're interested in using it, I will put a link in the description box to the App Store. I'm on the Apple platform, so you can get it, but it's also available for Android. All right, so you can see from the home screen that we've got a fabric section where you can enter all your fabrics. We've got a patterns section where you can enter your patterns. Then over here, you can match a fabric with a pattern and create projects. Over here, you've got a section to store measurements. So if you sew for other people, you can create profiles or take measurements of these people and have them all stored within the app, which is really cool. And then the final tab here or section is a shopping list. So as you go, you can take notes and create a shopping list, and you'll see when I go into that section that you can cross the items off your list that you are buying. At the top of the app, you can also see a couple of options, including filters. So you can apply filters so that you only see, for example, I can set a filter to see only the fabric that I've got, 2 meters of, for example, or between 0 and 2 meters. I can apply filters so that all I see is my boiled wool or bamboo jersey, and so on. So there are different filters you can apply, which is very useful if you've got a large stash, for example. So you can choose, if you have a specific pattern in mind, you can choose to look at, okay, what have I got in terms of fabric type, or fabric categories, or even fabric colors, if you have your heart set on a specific color for your pattern. Once you've applied the filters you want, just click on apply. And if you no longer need to see filters or apply filters, you can just click on clear to see your entire stash. This here is the sort button, so you can sort your fabric by name, ascending and descending, by price, if you decided to add a price to your fabrics, by purchase date, length, and color, which is probably my preferred way of sorting it, because you see all of the colors together. So I've got all my reds here at the top. And yeah, realize I don't own a lot of green. I've only got the one. I've got a lot of blue though. So these are the two options at the top. Next, let's look at how to add a piece of fabric to the app. All right, so adding a fabric is super simple. Click the plus sign. This opens a new fabric window. You can type the name. The name will be displayed when you're looking at your entire stash. A short description if you want to. None of these fields are mandatory, so you can add as little or as much information as you'd like. You can add the length, and again, you can go metric or imperial, the width of your fabric, the fabric type, the composition if you have it, fabric category, which is basically a knit, a woven, a stretch woven, or other, the price per meter or per yard, the date on which you purchased it, the store. If you have the number of the thread that matches your fabric, you can put it here. And then you can add colors. And there's a bunch of, like, so much information you can put in here. You can even have the link to the fabric or to the shop where you bought the fabric if you ever need to order more. Under fabric status is really cool. So you've got the uncut. Is this a remnant? Is this now scraps? Or have you used it? And then if you go to your stash and decide to apply a filter so that you don't see any fabrics you've used, then if you've selected the fabric status, you can do that. You can enter some notes, check here if it was gifted, and add a picture so you can see it in the home tab or in the home view. So this is the picture I took of this fabric. This is the name I gave it. This is the type and then how much I have. So at a glance, I can scroll through my stash and immediately see what this is, how much of it I have, and so on. But again, you would only see this on the home page if you've entered the information in the app when you were capturing all of your fabric in here. All right, now let's take a look at adding some patterns. So I've added only a few so far. I've got a lot of patterns, so this will take a while. But same kind of logic. Click on the plus, give your pattern a name. So what's the name of the pattern, who the designer is, the type of garment. Is this for male or female body type? The size range, fabrics, notions, where you have stored it, which I thought was really funny. Like, you'd have to have a really large sewing room to have to keep track of where your stuff is, but you know that's possible. The status, so have you made it? Have you toiled it? Any adjustments you need to make for next time, any notes you want to take, a link to it, and then the hashtags to use on Instagram, which I thought was really cool. And then have you printed it? Has it been traced out? Has it been cut out? And then you can put pictures and even attachments. So if you want to put the pattern instructions, if it's a PDF, for example, you can add all of that here. Once you've entered a new pattern, just like for fabrics, you can click on the trash can to delete it. And then all of your patterns appear here. Same logic as for fabrics. You can apply filters. And you can sort alphabetically by pattern name. All right, the next section is really where the magic happens. So creating projects. So you can take a fabric that you have in the app, match it with a pattern you have in the app, and create a project. So let's see. Click on the plus sign. You can give it a number. So this could be, for example, my holiday dress. I can add a fabric and it goes to my stash. So let's say I want to create something with this red Ponte. Click on the plus here. If I want to add even more fabric, so if I'm going to be color blocking or I also need a lining, I can add all of that here. Then I'm going to go and select my pattern. So I selected a Ponte for this. So let's pretend I'm going to make a cardigan with it. So click on the plus sign next to the pattern. Now I've got the fabric and the pattern. I can put some notes in here. Give it a priority. Which season do I have a deadline? Which stage am I at? So did I cut it out? Did I sew it? Did I photograph it? The completion date. And then at the end when I'm done, I can put a picture of it. So I thought this was really, really fun. Again, you've got the trash can at the top so you can remove the project if you've changed your mind. And then it appears right here in your list of projects. And for each one, you can have the status of the project here. Again, you can filter. So if you're only going to be sewing for winter, you can filter all your plans or your project for winter. And then you can sort by project name, whatever name you've given it when you created it. So this was really, really fun for me. I think if you're a vlogger or if you just like to organize yourselves in capsules or whatever, you can have so much fun here creating projects and keeping track of what's going on with each one. All right, let's quickly look at the last two sections. So first are the measurements. So I've created measurements or added measurements for my daughter, for my husband, and for myself. And to create a new profile, simply, again, click on the plus, put the name of the person, and enter all of their measurements. You can even add a picture like I've done here. And last but certainly not least, you've got your shopping list. So as you are sewing or as you think of things, you can add items. So fabric X, for example, and just keep adding new items. And once you've made the purchase, you can simply tick them and then they'll appear at the bottom of the page. You can also choose to remove everything that's checked. But if there's things that you need to buy often, you can leave them there and then untick them if you need to get them again, and they show up at the top of your list again. I thought was really neat. Now, as I said at the beginning of the video, this is not officially, or this is not yet officially launched. It's still in testing. I don't know whether there's going to be a cost, and if yes, how much the cost is going to be. I mean, I'm a planner. I love lists. Typically I love to be organized. So I don't know that if there is a cost that's going to change my mind about the app or that I'm going to stop using the app. But I just thought I'd mention it because I really have no idea if there's going to be a cost associated with it once it is officially launched. So what did you think? I'm a big fan of the app, to be honest. I think having it on my phone and my iPad is going to be super practical. So I can use it on my iPad as I'm entering patterns or fabrics or creating projects and planning things. But then I can also have it with me if I go fabric shopping or when I'm out and about. If I need to quickly, do I have red fabric that would fit this pattern, or do I have a pattern for this? So it'll all be on my phone, which is a lot better than having to remember everything that you own. And believe me, I have purchased fabric forgetting that I had something very, very, very similar in my stash. So now I'm feeling a lot more organized thanks to Yvette and Doug's new app. All right, well, that'll do it for me today. Hopefully you enjoyed this tour of my sewing room and then a quick review of the Stash Hub app and how I'm now keeping all of my fabrics and patterns organized. Thank you for stopping by. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up on your way out and consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks again, and I will see you soon.